Hello, Miss Connie. What do you want to talk to me about in the Korean War Room?
Well, I'm going to talk to you about the very first African American naval aviator. His name was Jesse L. Brown, and he was, again, the first African American naval aviator. And he served in the Korean War, and he flew the Corsair right up above me, and he was killed in action in 1950 while attempting to lay air support for 15,000 Marines in the Chosin Reservoir attempting evacuation on their way to Port Hunnam. He was Chosin Reservoir was very bad weather, and it was an unfortunate situation that it went down and he was killed attempting to assist these Marines. He was given posthumously awarded a Purple Heart and a Distinguished Flying Cross, as well as an Air Medal. And today, the U.S. Navy has named a frigate after him, the USS Jesse L. Brown.
Well, thank you very much. And it's amazing all the history I learn here every time I visit the Maryland Veterans Memorial Park Museum. So tell me about the Corsair.
Well, this is the Chance Vought F4U Corsair. It was first introduced in the battle during the Second World War around 1943, shortly after the campaign of Guadalcanal. It's flown by both U.S. Navy and Marine Corps aviators, as well as the Royal Navy Fleet Air Arm. For those of you who don't know that, that's the British Navy, the British Naval Aviation Units. And then the Japanese, during the Second World War, the Japanese called the Corsair Whistling Death. What happened was, even though the Japanese fighters, like the Zero or the Oscar, had more maneuverability, the Corsair used speed and surprise to pounce on Japanese aircraft. That's why they gave the name Whistling Death. During the Korean War, she was only one of two World War II fighter planes taken out of reserve and mothball status and brought back into service. They like this model here was flown by the late Ensign Jesse L. Brown. The Marine Corsairs, like all Marine aviators, their job was to provide intimate close air support to the Marines on the ground. The concept of close air support basically started during the 1920s when the Marines were fighting in Nicaragua against Sandino rebels. That was for the first concept of Marine close air support. By the Second World War, they pretty much have perfected close air support, and they brought that same talent during the Korean conflict. And one of note, a Corsair was one of the few piston engine fighter planes during the Korean War to actually shoot down a communist MiG-15 jet fighter. So that doesn't mean that the MiG was that just because you're a jet fighter that has a 200 mile an hour faster speed than the Corsair, it's the skill of the naval aviator that shot down that MiG-15. And the Corsair wasn't the only propeller plane during the Korean War to shoot down the MiG-15. A Royal Navy Fleet Air Arm Sea Fury matched that talent as well and also shot down a MiG-15.
May I ask, what are these big silver things? Are they bombs?
Those are drop tanks. Those are external fuel tanks, and extends the range of the Corsair, giving it longer sea legs. And then sometimes they could also be napalm incendiary tanks as well. So they could either be drop tanks or they could be napalm incendiary devices.
Well, here we have the F4U Corsair used during World War II, the Korean War, and the Vietnam War. Now, here we have Jesse in his flight gear on the left, of course, and his all-dressed white uniform on the right. Thank you, Jesse.